All right, what's up, YouTube? This is BoxingWave, and we're gonna break down Amanda Serrano against Katie Taylor, undisputed at lightweight. Probably one, if not the biggest female boxing match of all time, one of the biggest female boxing matches of all time. All right. And I think the winner of this fight determines who's the number one pound for pound female fighter in the world, without a doubt. I mean, these are the two most decorated, well, two of the most decorated fighters in the sport. But when you consolidate all the work they both put in, this is by far the biggest, like most accomplished female fighters that's ever fought each other in the history of the sport. All right. So this fight is going to be this Saturday. I will be covering the fight live. I did want to go to this fight because this is historically it's a big fight, and it's here in New York in Madison Square Garden. But I can't miss out on the Shakur Stevenson Oscar Valdez fight. So I will be covering both fights this Saturday, starting around 7 p.m. I should be jumping online. I know this undercard starts, I believe, at 7:15, 7:30 p.m. Eastern. All right. So this is a huge fight. We already know this is going to be a lightweight, undisputed fight. All right. Katie Taylor is going to be defending her 4 titles against Amanda Serrano. And just let me make it real clear. If you're not too familiar, Amanda Serrano is very decorated. Has had like 44 professional fights, huge KO ratio. Debuted back in like 2009. Didn't have much of a amateur background, like only like 10 fights, but she debuted it very, very young. I think she debuted it like maybe she was 20 years old. Okay, so and she's won titles in like 6 or 7 different divisions. Okay, never been undisputed, but she has been unified. She's fought at lightweight. She's fought at junior welterweight. All right, so she's fought as high as 140, and I believe she's fought as low as like flyweight. All right, so she's bounced around. She's gone up and down. If you look at it, she's fought a lot of different fighters, maybe not the best of the best in the world, but she debuted it so many years before Katie Taylor, who debuted it at 2016. Okay, so I know people are gonna look at the resumes and try to compare as far as the opponents, how many wins they had, how many losses they had, who did they beat, they came up in different times, they came up with different promotions. It's just two different like lifestyles and different roads to their success. All right. So Amanda Serrano, 33 years of age, Puerto Rican fighter here from Brooklyn, Southpaw. All right. And a woman that can really mix it up and do pretty much everything. All right. She has speed. She has power. She is a pressure fighter, high volume puncher, counter puncher. Great boxing technique, very sharp. And she's well rounded. And so is Katie Taylor. Katie, a couple years older, 35, more big, a lot longer experience as far as amateur background, Olympic gold medalist. She has 20 pro fights, debuted in 2016. But as soon as she started fighting elite level fighters right away as a pro. Like I was saying, a different road from Amanda. Amanda didn't really have much of the amateur background, but Katie did. All right, won all kind of championships and titles as an amateur. Fought in almost 200 amateur fights. Right, so her experience, a lot of her experience is from being an amateur, but she's done great as a pro as well, defeating several people that were undefeated or women that had 1 or 2 losses. She's fought the very elite, but just about her whole career as a pro has been at lightweight. And like I said, she hasn't won titles as many divisions as Amanda has, but she is undisputed, and she's defended her titles as undisputed for a good amount of fights now, right? Still fighting quality fighters and fought fighters with all different types of styles, So we're talking 2 really, really decorated fighters, and I think it makes for a great fight, to be honest. I've been dragging this breakdown only because of being unsure who's going to win. I know there's a lot of times where I say fights are 50-50. But then there's fights like this where I think last night after the Boston Celtics game and Celtics beat the Nets or whatever, I'm watching, I'm doing my film study. I'm watching fights that I've seen already. I'm watching Amanda, several fights he had, Gutierrez fights because it's a common opponent. I went back to the Wahlberg loss that she had because I'm looking for certain weaknesses in both because I think they both fight really well. And I'm trying to figure out what ways that one can beat the other. And with Amanda, unfortunately for her, she doesn't have all her fights available. I think Katie's a little bit easier to find because majority of fights that weren't on YouTube, most of them are on the DAZN app, which I subscribe to, right? So it was very easy for me to find Katie's fights, and they're more recent. Whereas Amanda, they're further back. They're hard to really find specific people that fight similar to Katie, and that's what I was trying to look for, and it was hard to find it. I would say the woman that she lost to 10 years ago sort of matched Katie's hand speed, had good legs and good movement and good counter. But when I'm watching Amanda, I'm like, Amanda is way better than, what she's way better now than what she was 10 years ago, so it's hard to really base everything off just styles and resume and stuff like that. So with that being said, I watched a ton of Amanda, bounced around with a bunch of Amanda Serrano fights. With Katie Taylor, I looked at the Latasha Jonas fight, which was a recent fight because Jonas is a southpaw. And she's she's a really good fighter. I've seen her fight a good amount of times, and it was a pretty competitive fight. So I watched that because Amanda's a southpaw, and when I watched that fight, I'm watching and I'm like, yeah, she's a southpaw, but she's not Amanda Serrano. She's very good, but she's not Amanda Serrano. She doesn't bring that pressure. If anything, Katie Taylor was pressuring her and walking her down, and Jonas was fighting on her back foot. So I wanted to see something that was going to remind me a little bit more of Amanda Serrano as a southpaw, and I didn't find that. So what did I do? I go back and watch the Jessica McCaskill fight because I know Jessica is a pressure fighter, and she has a slight size advantage. So I said, let me watch that fight. And I watched that fight, and I'm watching it, and McCaskill is a very good fighter. She's still a very good fighter. She's still one of the top fighters out there, and one of my personal favorites to watch. But she's not Amanda Serrano. Not only is she not a southpaw, but I just don't think she's as skilled as Amanda Serrano. You know what I'm saying? Same thing with Delphine Pursoon. I went back and watched that first fight. I didn't bother with the second fight because I already knew that Taylor fixed a few of the issues she had. But I went back and watched the first fight, a fight that I actually attended and saw live. And I'm watching the fight, and I like Pursoon is extremely, her pressure is extreme, right? She's just going and she's throwing a bunch of punches. She's being really physical. The accuracy is not really there, but the pressure is there. And the reason why she had so much success in the first fight, and a fight that many people believe Katie didn't win, is just because of the fact that she was just so aggressive. Not many clean punches, but she made it where Katie was fighting her fight. Katie tried to move and slip inside and counter, and she was doing well at points in the fight. With the combinations and everything, but Pursoon was just too rugged. Amanda is not that. Amanda tries to make her punches count. And so, listen, I know we're going to talk resumes. Katie did this. She was this as an amateur. Amanda, we can say all of that, but at the end of the day, I don't think there's anybody on Katie's resume that would be able to beat Amanda if they were to fight. Regardless of what that resume says and who she fought. If she fought some very, very good people, I don't think anyone on her resume is better than Amanda Serrano. And the same with Serrano. I don't think there's anyone on her resume that's better than Katie Taylor. So this is why this fight is so 50-50. And I think the winner of this fight is, if there is a winner of this fight, and listen, one thing I want to say, I really hope there's no headbutt, nothing that causes a bad cut, because you got an orthodox and a southpaw fighter. what I will say is that I think it's going to be a split decision, um, or some kind of draw or something like that. I think it's really, really close because I think they are so balanced, and I think they're both very balanced. They both bring different things, but they're both balanced. They're both capable of making adjustments. They both throw a respectable amount of punches, and they got good endurance. Some may say that Katie is like, starting to get on the downhill a little bit. Starting to slow down, being that she's older. She's been in a lot of wars. She's been in a lot of top fights and stuff like that. But regardless, they both bring so many different things to the table. Amanda Serrano, when I watch her, the few of the key things with her is that the body punching. Recently said this about Spence and Ugas and Spence and Bud when I did their breakdowns recently. Again, Katie can go to the body. She attacks the body when the opportunity comes. Amanda commits to the body. They both throw a lot of combinations. I believe Katie to be a quick, faster with her hands. Moves a lot more with her feet. Uses the ring more. Just quicker feet. Amanda sits down on her punches. She is fast, not as fast as Katie, but I believe her to be more powerful, and I think she mixes up her combinations better. All right, she's throwing a 3-4 punch combinations, and she's mixing it up with going to the body, with hooks, with crosses, with overhand rights, with jabs. I just think between the two of them, when they both throw combinations, I think Serrano mixes it up better. All right, and she commits to the body. She's always going to the body with that left hand. All right, she's throwing hooks to the body. She's throwing uppercuts low. She commits to the body, whereas Katie, when she's mixing up and she's trading and she's exchanging, she goes to the body, but she doesn't commit to it, right? But I guess that makes up with the hand speed. The hand speed is a big problem for a lot of Katie's opponents, right? Because she's more of a headhunter, but she's going blistering fast, 3 or 4 punch combinations up top, and she's pretty accurate for the most part with those. All right, quick jab, quick 1-2. It becomes a little predictable, and I think that could be a key to this fight. I can see her getting countered often. I think the both of them are decent defenders, but not great defenders, right? I think the both of them are good at slipping and countering, right? But as far as at the end of the day, I think both of them, the majority of the time, their head is kind of dead center. I like one thing I see about Amanda. I like the way she uses her jab. When she steps in with the jab, she follows it up with or she's stepping with the jab, she'll follow it up with a left and follow that up with a right. But she makes great use of her jab. She has good timing, and I think with her, being that Katie becomes a little bit predictable by the way she bounces, and you can kind of time her stepping in. I think Amanda, if she is to land a stiff enough jab, she can possibly drop Katie, off a flash knockdown type of thing, and it'll be a scoring shot. But another thing that Amanda likes to do, and one of the first thing I noticed is that at the end of her exchanges, she likes to step out with the jab too, and I think that's it's great for the defense, because listen, if someone is going to try to counter you, you're stepping back and you're shooting that jab on your way out of the exchange. And it's a great way to, keep that distance between you and your opponent. It's a great scoring shot, especially if the counter is coming. I see her do that act a lot. And, when I noticed when I saw the Wahlberg fight, when I watched that fight, those are things that Amanda really wasn't doing at that time. The head movement, she uses it to get in range, but doesn't use it while she's inside. Doesn't really keep her gloves up. She kind of just tanks the punches for the most part. All right, but I know in her older fight, in that one loss that I went back and watched, I noticed that she wasn't doing much head movement. She wasn't really making that much of a use of the jab, and she just she just wasn't as she wasn't bringing the pressure like she does now. I think she literally goes in every fight. I was watching some of the Heather Hardy fight, and I've seen this fight before because it was kind of a big deal in New York because Heather Hardy's from New York. She was undefeated, and Amanda is just brutal. Every first 2 rounds or so, she's always going in to knock you out. In a few fights, she comes in right away, pressure, a lot of pressure, but it's smart. It's not like Pursoon, it's not like McCaskill. She's not wasting punches. Everything is a setup. Katie, great check left hook. And, being that she likes to use the ring and move and step around her opponents, especially the really aggressive ones, the ones that's coming for her, what she's going to have to do in this fight, because Amanda, believe it or not, Katie can sit there and box and trade. She can do it. She's capable. She's shown that she's very durable. So is Amanda. They're both very durable fighters. I don't believe that anyone is getting stopped in this fight. I don't believe it's going to happen. But they're both very durable fighters, and Katie can mix it up on the inside. She's been forced to at times, and she was able to hold her own. But I believe that Katie, her advantage here, and I think the plan should be to move, all right, box. Look for opportunities to step in and ambush Amanda. Don't try to pressure Amanda. At the end of the day, you're going to be fighting on your back foot. All right, look to time Amanda with that check left hook, step around her, but not just land the hook, because now Amanda's going to just be looking for it over and over. Land the hook, but follow it up with a combination and then get back out of danger, reset yourself. I think if she is to win this fight, those are her best chances of winning, as long as she doesn't stay in a pocket with Amanda. We can't see the Katie Taylor that sat in the pocket with Delphine Pursoon for too long trading. That's not the Amanda that's going to win. Yes, she's going to get off because she's so fast. She could throw 2 or 3 punches really quickly. She's blazing fast. But Amanda is going to be hitting her with the harder shots to the body up top. And I think the judges might like those shots better, especially if you're staying in the pocket. Amanda's best strategy is make it her fight. Bring that pressure. Throw those body shots continuously, especially early on. I believe Amanda's probably going to come out and be very aggressive like she normally is. But I believe that in this fight, bring the pressure. Yes, be the one that's coming forward. Use your jab, mix the punches up, especially try to get in a position to where you can throw and land those combinations, because Katie's probably going to be on the move. But I don't think Amanda should take that same approach where just come out the gate trying to get an early knockout like she's done in so many fights in the past. Because you want to burn yourself out, and you're gonna be fighting. And even though she has great stamina, you're going to slow down eventually. You're still going to slow down. The fight against Gutierrez, her last fight, where she destroyed Gutierrez's face, as much pressure she put on Gutierrez, I know she was trying to stop her and everything, because Taylor did not stop her. Taylor went the distance with her and dropped her. I think Amanda needs to come in this fight where, okay, I'm going to bring the pressure, but I'm going to fight in spurts, because you want to be able to fight strong in the later half where you're attacking the body. You're looking to slow down Katie and finish off stronger than Katie if this fight goes to distance, which I believe it will. So Katie is the one that I feel like she has to be on the move, pot shot here and there, but look for opportunities to try to step in and ambush Amanda. All right, just don't sit in the pocket. Don't keep your back on the ropes. I know she is capable of doing it, but I don't think that's her advantage in this fight. Her advantage is her speed, keeping the distance, stepping around Amanda as she throws, making her pay for her mistakes with counters, and just keeping that distance overall. But keep, letting that your fist fly. Amanda, on the other hand, you want to make Katie fight your fight, try to trade. You're the better combination puncher. You have the bigger power, in my opinion. Go to that body, use that jab, step in with that jab, step out with that jab. All right. I just think she can do a little bit more than Katie Taylor, and she's not as predictable as Katie Taylor. Yes, she might be coming forward, and yes, she might be at times in the exchanges easy to hit, right? But she is very durable like Katie, and she has a more variety in her combinations, right? And plus, she has a good jab with good timing, and she can counter very good. All right. So anyway, me personally, I've been trying to decide, and I've been back and forth. But whenever I start overthinking shit, I'm always gonna go. I'm gonna revert back to my original pick. My original pick was Amanda Serrano, and that's what I'm going with. You know, after watching video after video after video, I'm like, I don't know. I can see Katie winning this. I can see. I'm not. I'm gonna go back. And I think Amanda Serrano is going to win this fight by split decision. Not really a gambler, but I'm probably going to throw a little bit of money in there for a draw just in case. You know, because I know the odds are I know Serrano, I believe she's like a very, very slight favorite, right? So I don't think it's worth putting money down on it. I'm just going to probably throw a little bit money in there just in case we get a draw, because I believe this fight is going to be so close. I think it's going to be a controversial thing. You know, people will say Amanda won. Some people are going to say Katie won. And I think we're probably going to get a rematch. I don't know if they agreed to anything in the contract, but I believe that this fight is going to be so competitive that we're going to probably see a second fight. All right. So anyway, I have Amanda Serrano winning this one with a split decision win. All right. Or a majority decision or whatever. And that's my pick. I will be here to do live commentary this Saturday evening around 7 p.m. for this fight, and the Shakur Stevenson Oscar Valdez fight as well. And I'll see you Saturday. All right. So make sure you subscribe to the channel, share the video, hit that bell notification if you are a subscriber, so you get notified whenever I drop new content, and definitely hit that thumbs up if you like the content. I'm out. Peace.